Hello, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Actually It's a Mirror, where I talk news, celebrity gossip, hot topics. You name it, I talk about it. And today we are going to be talking about the updates and recent interview that Meg The Stallion gave on CBS Online with Gayle King and all the bombshell allegations there are against Tory Lanez. I'm going to take a different approach with this particular live, and my focus is really going to be on the important questions I think the DA, the prosecutor's office, and everyone involved in the case is going to be asking when Meg The Stallion and Tory Lanez has the opportunity for their day in court. If you're new to this live, please do me a favor right now and go ahead and like the live. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Turn your notification bell on if you want to keep updated on important questions throughout the case, which I look forward to covering once it goes to trial. So if I'm Meg The Stallion, here are some things that I'm absolutely going to be prepared for in this case. And I'm going to be pointing to some of the inconsistencies and abnormalities in her story, especially how it will be perceived from from a defensive standpoint. The first thing is she reports that they have been at Kylie Jenner's house all day drinking and partying and at the pool. The first thing that's probably going to come up is state of mind. What state of mind was Meg The Stallion in? Was she competent? Was she coherent? Was she in the presence of mind to actually be able to discuss what happened on that fateful night? I have a strong suspicion that other people at that party will be called in and deposed and asked to give testimony as to whether or not they believed Meg The Stallion was intoxicated to the point of being irrational. So, Meg The Stallion, you're going to have to account for how many drinks you had that night, what specifically you were drinking, and whether or not you were coherent enough to, to kind of give an accurate testimony to this case. One of the biggest things that talks to her coherence is the fact that she was riding in a car in a bathing suit on her way home. So the question becomes, if you were sober, why didn't you put clothes on? Why were you sitting in the car with your bathing suit on after just getting out of a pool and presumably being wet? Why didn't you dress yourself, put a cover up on? That kind of speaks to where her mindset may have been. Maybe she was too drunk to even worry about getting dressed. She was just ready to go home. So they're going to want to know if a blood alcohol test was done that night. They're going to ask for eyewitness testimony about how many drinks she had that night, if anybody can speak to that state of mind, as well as the same for Tory Lanez, as well as Kelsey in the car. Another thing that comes up in her interview with CBS that is very concerning to me, that I think is going to work against Meg The Stallion, is this whole idea of her wanting to protect people in her life. And that because she lost her mom and dad, she was looking for a family. I think this is going to be used against Meg The Stallion in court. Why? Because Meg The Stallion has already proven herself to be somebody who will lie to protect those that she loves or those that she believes that she loves, which totally implicates her best friend, Kelsey. Because Kelsey was the one who was found with gun residue on her hands, and eyewitness testimony says that Kelsey was the closest to the muzzle when the flash went off. This is going to work very well in Tory Lanez's favor, and I think that is something Meg The Stallion should have omitted from her interview with Gayle King. She has put herself in a very bad place by admitting, not only did she admit she will lie to protect those that she loves, there's actual proof that she will lie to protect those that she loves. Because when the cops asked her what happened, she lied and said she stepped on glass. She lied. And not only, she didn't lie once, she lied all the way up until she couldn't lie anymore, which is when the doctor walked into the room in Cedars-Sinai's medical hospital and said, "We see gun fragments in your foot." She had to be caught in a lie before she would tell the truth. That is not going to work out well for you, Meg The Stallion. That's not going to work out well for you, because the evidence would suggest that you will lie to protect those that you love, and you did do it. You actually lied to protect them. Whether you were protecting Tory or you were protecting Kelsey, you lied and you got caught in a lie. you need to have your attorney prepare you for that, why you lied in that manner. Now, here's what could have happened that night. Perhaps maybe Tory did pull the trigger, but Kelsey went to grab the gun from Tory's hand, like, yo, don't shoot Meg, you wilding out. But then Kelsey would have to admit that she put her hands on that weapon that night. Because how did she get gun residue on her hand? You really can't refute that. Gun residue doesn't travel that far, particularly to your hands. If you had gunpowder on your clothes, that's one thing. But if Meg The Stallion gives testimony on CBS Online saying that Tory Lanez was standing outside of the vehicle at the time of the alleged shooting, how did gunpowder get on Kelsey's hands, who was inside of the car? Gunpowder does not travel downward and then randomly land on someone's hand. And this is why, if you listen to my last live, I said I totally, absolutely believe that there was more than one shooter that night. I am almost apt to believe that they took turns shooting at Meg The Stallion. It's either that or Tory Lanez wasn't the shooter altogether. The shooter might quite possibly have been her best friend at the time. And Meg The Stallion is so loyal to her friend, loves her so much because she lost her family. This girl grew up with her in Houston. It could be possible that Meg The Stallion was too intoxicated to know who actually shot her and is making her testimony about Tory Lanez based on hearsay. Maybe the friend told her, Tory shot you. Maybe even Tory Lanez that night said, yo, just say it was me. Just say it was me. Like maybe he was trying to protect all parties involved and took the blame for a situation that he didn't actually do. Or it was more than one shooter and they took turns shooting her. It is going to be very difficult for Meg The Stallion to prove, after giving that interview on CBS Online about Tory standing outside of the car pulling the trigger, that how did gunpowder land on Kelsey's hands? That's going to be very difficult to prove. That creates a significant amount of reasonable doubt in the case that Meg The Stallion is going to have to account for with her attorneys. There are certain parts of the case that I believe are absolutely 100% true. Meg The Stallion was absolutely shot. There were absolutely blood fragments in her foot. There was absolutely blood splattered on the ground as she walked away. I believe all of that happened. The question is who shot her. And I am very, very, very inconclusive about whether or not Tory Lanez acted alone or acted at all. And I think Meg The Stallion's own witness account on CBS Online did nothing but destroy her case. It really did. Because you saying that he was outside of the car does not explain how your friend got gun residue on her hands. I'm shocked that the police officers didn't immediately return to these people's homes and take them in for questioning to get testimony about what happened that night. Honestly, it's almost irrational that a trained cop who is trained to know what a gunshot wound looks like, believed Meg The Stallion when she said she stepped on glass. I mean, there's no glass on the ground. I mean, you can literally go to the scene and see, well, where did you step on glass at? You were in a vehicle. Now you are outside of a vehicle. We received a phone call saying that shots have been fired from third-party independent sources. You're standing outside bleeding profusely, and you're telling us as trained police officers that you stepped on glass. We don't even see any glass. Did these witnesses just make up that shots was fired? I don't understand how they allowed them to leave the scene of the crime with such inconclusive belief about the case as trained cops. It's almost like the cops kind of was like, these are celebrities. We just gonna mind our business and sit and take it for what it was. I don't know how any trained cop let that go down that way. Immediately, any normal police officer would have taken blood alcohol samples from everybody on the scene. They would have immediately took the gun into possession, found out that the gun was piping hot, because when you fire a weapon, it's hot. Like, it's a hot gun. It's not like it just cools automatically. That should have been taken into question. The smell of the car. When you fire a weapon, there's a smell that comes out when you discharge a firearm. And that smell does not dissipate from a small space easily. So if Tory Lanez was standing outside of a car and discharged a firearm, then there should have been a smell of a gunpowder inside the vehicle. They should have searched that vehicle. I think that there was a lot of mistakes made on the part of the police department in collecting evidence in this case in a timely fashion, and also bringing everybody else in to get a witness testimony as to what went down that night. a lot of gaps in judgment and lapses in error on the part of the police department that need to be accounted for. But the biggest thing that could possibly save Tory Lanez from going to jail, and it would be unfortunate that if he really did pull the trigger, that Meg The Stallion got on CBS and admitted to lying to police officers to cover up someone shooting her. Do you understand the level of shock you have to be in after being shot at by somebody? It is going to be very difficult to prove to a rational jury that you were protecting someone who pulled a weapon on you. It's going to be very difficult. I grew up in the hood, and the only time somebody would defend somebody who pulled a gun on them with the intent to use it and actually did, it's only one or two reasons. Reason number one, you in some type of gang affiliation and you can't drop the dime on your leader. Or two, you plan on getting street justice and not legal justice. There's only two reasons why you would lie about being shot. If you grew up in any kind of hood, you either in on it or you plan on taking matters into your own hands. And then she goes on to say, Tory Lanez offered to pay me $1 million to not turn him in. Well, Meg The Stallion, that is not something you should be admitting, because now it seems like you were willing to take a bribe to not tell the truth on him. So now you're making yourself look crazy, like you were because you didn't tell the truth. So wait a second, he offered you $1 million. You said you didn't want the money. You just said, if you're really sorry, help me. But yet and still you lied. So did you only come forward to tell the truth because he didn't deposit that $1 million in your account? Because you were willing to ride that lie all the way to the hospital to discharge. Because in her CBS testimony, she says the cops were getting ready to leave before the doctor walked in and said, don't you know you got bullets in your foot, boo-boo? So were you planning to take that bribe, Meg The Stallion? I'm not judging you, Meg. I'm telling you what's gonna happen in court. Because if I am the defense attorney for Tory Lanez, I'm coming on and I'm saying Meg The Stallion will take a bribe. She's not above bribery, because she did not tell the truth when accosted with the truth right in front of her. She lied to the cops. So who's bribing Meg The Stallion right now? Is she taking a bribe from someone else to lie about who actually pulled the trigger that night? If I'm the defense attorney, that's the argument I would likely attempt to make. I would likely attempt to make that argument. You throw that in with the gunpowder, with the eyewitness testimony of where the flash was, and it's looking like, Meg The Stallion, your friend Kelsey might seriously be facing some criminal charges. Unless there's some smoking gun evidence that hasn't reached mainstream media yet, it is highly circumstantial and highly inconclusive. Now, I'm not going to get on and say I don't believe Tory had anything to do with it, because my spidey senses tell me strongly that it was more than one shooter that night. I think they were taking turns shooting Meg The Stallion. I do. That's my personal opinion. I don't have no proof, but that's my personal opinion. But Meg doesn't want to implicate her friend. She doesn't want to implicate her friend. But by you trying to protect one person, you are going to open the gateway for another person to get away with a crime against you. And I don't know why you would want to defend anybody who could have pulled a gun on you. It's not above believing that friends get into disputes that lead to violence all the time. Look what happened with Remy Ma at the height of her career. She ended up getting into a dispute with one of her friends that led to her going to prison. When you become successful, friends get jealous. So now, if I'm the defense attorney, I'm going to look into the status of Meg and Kelsey's relationship. I'm looking at Twitter. I'm looking at Instagram. Were they in any kind of disputes? Did they have a beef? I'm going to pull all of that information together, and I'm going to try to make the argument that perhaps Meg The Stallion was shot by her friend as a result of jealousy because of Meg's success. And, you never know. Meg, I hope you got your story straight. I hope you got your situation locked up, because there's a lot of inconsistencies that you're going to have to account for in the court of law. A lot of inconsistencies. Let me know in the comments down below if you think Tory Lanez is the one who shot Meg. Do you think there could have been another shooter? Do you think Tory will face charges on this? Or do you think Meg's story is too inconclusive to get anybody convicted? I want to hear from you in the comment section. Don't forget to like this live on the way out. And thank you for stepping in and checking out Actually It's a Mirror, where all my opinions are allegedly and just my opinion, because I don't know these people and I wasn't there. I'll talk to you guys next time. Have a great day.